Hello everyone. Today I come with the second video, that is database concept part 2. So let's we are going to deal with these concept one by one. Number one, in this video we will discuss these topic. First one, that is what is database. Second one, that is why database. Third one, DBMS. Fourth one, what user can do with DBMS. Characteristic of DBMS, advantages of DBMS, disadvantages of DBMS, and the difference between file-based system and DBMS system. So now we are going to discuss this one after other by these one. Number one, that is called database. What is database? Basically, database, the term database is used in 1962 record keeping of your transactional data. But today, this is not only for record keeping of your data. Using this particular database system, you can do multiple work, multiple operations together. So here the meaning is the database is a collection of interrelated data which is used to retrieve, insert, and delete the data efficiently. Basically, whenever we are working with the DBMS, database is basically used to manage any set of transactional data that is going to be kept inside the computer, and after inserting you can retrieve it according to your demand and perform number of operations like analysis of data, like creating some reports, and so on. Next, it is used to organize the data in the form of table, views, and reports. These are the three basic building blocks of a database to manage its whole operation. Means, whenever you are working with the database, you are actually working with these three components of the database, that is called table, views, and report. Here, table is the rectangular representation or logical representation of your database data, which is designed to store your set of information that is in the form of tuples and rows and columns. Here, using the view, you can retrieve the content from the table and view over the system, by which you can analyze the facts, and after that you can prepare reports over the stored data. Next, for example, the school management uses database to organize the data about the administration, staff, student, fees, etc. for analysis and preparing a report on these data. So we can say that database is a very essential part of our day-to-day life today. Using it, we can organize or manage entire system with the help of this particular system. Next one, why database? Database is essential part, we know that, but why actually we are going to do with it? The database is typically designed so that it is easy to store and access information. As I already said, database is a crucial part of the company or organization. So whenever we are required to store any data into the computer for the organization or the company, we use database. This is because the database stores all the student or staff detail of the school, such as employee records, staff transaction records like student fees, examination result, student performance, student assignment, homework, etc. So these are the basic building block of working with database. That's why database is essential for the any set of company or organization. Next, what is DBMS? DBMS basically stands for Database Management System. It is basically a computerized record keeping system. Using it, we can record keep our data into the computer system in a systematic manner. So according to the demand or requirement of the system, we can retrieve it and prepare reports over it. So there is a number of examples of a database softwares like MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, These are the very popular software available um, in this world, or in this on the internet. You can directly download it and install into your computer and directly utilize it for your organization. Next, DBS provides an interface to perform various operations. As I already said, whenever you are working with the DBMS, you are working with CRUD operation, that is called create, read, update, and delete. These are the activities performed by DBMS is very common. It provides protection and security to the database. The meaning of protection and security in the database term is that whenever you are working with the paper-based system or manual system, you are facing number of problem with protection of data and security of the data. And there is also the one of the reason by so we are use one of the reason by which you are working with DBMS system today. Because using the manual system, it is very easy to access the data by anyone, because it is very public. Anyone can go and read the content directly without getting permission from the user. In case of multiple user, whenever you are working with a manual system can be read by one person at a time. But whenever you are working with DBMS, our same system can be utilized by multiple persons together at the same time from anywhere in the world. There is a one most example is best example is social medias. You are working with Facebook, Instagram, and related applications that is stored inside a single platform or a single system somewhere in the world, and you are utilizing the services from your using your devices like smartphone, laptop, and whatever something. It also maintain data consistency. Basically, whenever you are working with the system, you must have a consistent data, and DBMS is the only way by which you can maintain data inconsistency. Because whenever you are working with the manual system, your data may be inconsistent or having number of redundancies of data. So using this feature, using this DBMS, you can minimize this particular problem. Next, it also provides data privacy to the user. Only authorized user can view or change the real data. Actually, we will see the effect of this feature on the application ground of MySQL when I am going to create video over that particular topic. Next one, what user can do with DBMS? As I have already said that DBMS is a computerized record keeping system and work on CRUD operation. So a user can perform these four operations. That is the data definition. Data definition means using this particular operation, you can create and manipulate a structure of the database. Next one is that is called data updation and retrieval. Using this particular feature or operation, user can create, manipulate records of the database, so it can be utilized to retrieve it and work over the analysis report. Last one is that is called user administration. As we all know that any system must be guided or must be instructed by authorities. So there is a term that is called user administration that is actually designed to maintain the integrity or enforcing data security, dealing with the concurrency control, monitoring performance, and recovering information corrupted by unexpected failures. So these are the very important points that you have to keep in mind whenever you are working with the DBMS. Next one, that is called characteristics of DBMS. These are the basic characteristics of DBMS. Whenever you are working with the DBMS, you must have to keep in mind that these are the basically the point that must be keep in mind whenever you are working with the system that shows it is very much efficient for us. First one is that is called, it is to provide security of data. Our data is secure here. Next one, it provide acid property. Acid property is basically the term using it to maintain the maintain the healthy state of the database whenever in case of failure. Failure means it can be the hardware failure, it can be the software failure. Using these particular things, we can maintain the database healthy. The full form of ACID is A for atomicity, C for consistency, I for isolation, and D for durability. These four properties must a DBMS contain that actually protect our data or keep our data healthy and convenient to use. Next one, that is called it is used to support manipulation and processing of data. Actually, whenever you are working with the DBMS, there is a provision of user. So every user is decided to have its own responsibility over the DBMS. So there is a term that is called DBA, database administrator, who is actually having the responsibility to create user and provide their work. So using these uh, particular things, system is going to be maintained by the some set of guideline rules. It can view the database from different viewpoint according to the requirement of the user. Means whenever a user is working on the computer with the database DBMS, so every user have its own priority to access with the system. As for example, a database must have access feature of either editing or viewing of the database. So whenever a user is going to be authorized for the working with the DBMS, then DBA identify their need, and according to their need, they give privilege to the user to work with the database. Next, it can provide a clear and logical view of the process that manipulate data. Whenever you are working with the DBMS, it must be clear in mind that whatever the activity you perform on the database, that is going to be stored inside the system in the log form. So every user has its own log. So whatever the data you have manipulated or inserted into the database is going to be managed by DVA. Using this particular DBMS, you can uh, perform database backup and recovery operation also. And it can be used to create a relationship between the different type of data. As for example, if I have some set of data related to the storage of the product of the company, and also have the data related to the sales of the product of the company. So using this particular DBMS, we can relate these particular things together to form a report over the sale and goods productions of the product for the company. So it is a very much clear that it is going to reduce the many relationship between the datas. Next one is that is called advantages of DBMS. DBMS have a number of advantages. I list out these number of advantages that is very much popular, very much important. First one is that is called multiple user interface. As I earlier says that a database can be utilized by multiple person together. So database is going to be handled smoothly by the any set of user. Next one is that is called controlled database redundancy. In the manual system, there is a one of the most difficulties is that is called data redundancy. Data redundancy means duplication of data. So whenever you are working with the DBMS, it provides you the data redundancy, uh, control over the data redundancy. So no duplicate data is going to be stored inside the DBMS if your database is configured in a systematic form. Next one is that is called data inconsistency. Here, data inconsistency means whenever we demand a set of data from the system, it should not be clear that all data is organized in your own view. So it can use using the DBMS, you can minimize the inconsistency level, because every user have their own view of retrieving the data from the system. Next one is data sharing. Data sharing is the feature. Using it, we can share any set of information or data from one system to another system. Like if I am working with the MySQL platform for the DBMS operation, so it can also be utilized on the Oracle. It can be also utilized for the uh, Microsoft SQL Server and related softwares. Next one is user friendly. With a little bit instruction or little bit training over this particular software, you can directly work with the system. So the user interface of the DVMS is very much clear and having its own set of rules to work with it. So you must have to train first before using this particular system. Next one is that is called data integration. As for example, if one person is working on the another DVMS technology and another one is working on different technology, both are working on the different technology, and if demand is there that they are going to collaborate all the different type of database technology together, so DBMS provides you the way by which you can integrate any set of DBMS into the system. Next one is easily maintenance, reduce time, backup and recovery. Basically, in the traditional system, we are having the number of problems. That is, first one is that is called storage. Second one is that is called durability. Third one is that is called cost, and the last one is that is called maintenance. These four are the basic factor that actually create difficulties working with traditional based record keeping system. Using DVMS, all this problem is going to be sought out. That is the disadvantages of this system. Next one, as nothing is perfect in this world, so DVMS also have its own disadvantages. These are the four biggest disadvantages of the DVMS. That is not its limitation, that is users limitation or organization limitations. First one is that is called size. Whenever we talk about the disadvantage as a size of the DBMS, means whenever we are working with the DBMS very long time, the size of the database is going to be large. So it need more and more large infrastructure to handle with this DBMS. That is the one of the disadvantage that can be managed. If a user have the infrastructure to handle the size of the DBMS, then it will be removed. Next one is complexity. When we are working with a DBMS, in the beginning, the complexity of the database is very nominal. That means you are having about the number of table which is connected to each other. But whenever you are having the huge range of table which is connecting each other in a particular form, then it will be very complex to handle, because this part of this type of complexities can be handled by a higher set of processor, and it need a higher processing speed of your computer. So whenever you are working with the high range of data, then you must have a high range of configured computer to work with this particular system. Next one is higher impact of failure. Of course, every system, if every system is going to fail down, then the impact of this particular fail down is very much on the organization. So whenever you are working with the DBMS, this is a very much required that you have to take backup of your data in a particular schedule time, like daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. You always have to keep backup of your current data that actually going to remove this disadvantage from your system. That is called higher impact of failures. As this is a machine and these are based on the hardware and software, so these two can be fail. So you must have to take care that you must take some backups of this particular system. So these four are the disadvantages of the DVMS. Next one is, as I have already discussed, There is a two different type of database system we are using from last 40 to 40 year, that is from after 60, that is called file based system and DBMS system. These two are the digitization step of the computer of the organization to store or record keeping of our data. In the file system, we are having the number of um, feature to organize or store our data into the computer, but also have its limitation. Whenever we are working with the DVMS, it also have the number of feature than file system. So these two columns are here to discuss with these particular differences between DVMS and file based system. In the file based system, it was first approach to digitize the manual system, whereas it is a meaningful way to organize data in a computer system. So it was file system was the old one and DBMS is the newer one. Next one is, it is also called as transactional approach. Transactional approach. Next, in the DBMS part, it is also called as new approach of managing data. Whenever you are working with the traditional approach, your data is stored one after other. So whenever you are needed to recover it, then you have to go one after other. That is manual searching is there. But whenever you are working with the DBMS, there is no need to go for the manual. You can directly access the data whatever you want. Next one, the main role of a data processing specialist was to create the necessary computer file structure and also manage the data within a structure and design some application program that create report based on file data. Actually, in the file-based database system, it is very important that whenever you are working with this system, you must have a program to maintain this particular data over the file system. Like whenever you are working with the C and C++ like software, you will need to have a file-based system. But in the today's era, all the programming languages provide the DBMS facility to directly connect with the database management system softwares like MySQL, Oracle, and related softwares. But in the file-based system, in the traditional time, um, we are having the very much specialized person in the organization to keep track of our files with a specialized structure, and that is going to be managed by a set of program. So every time you need two things. First one is programmer and second one is database administrator. So with these two quality of a person as a specialist in the field of computer science, they can manage the file-based system. But in the DBMS field, it can be used by multiple user at a time and perform operation like creating, updating, deleting, retrieving, and sorting of data. So there is no any variation of creating any kind of application program separately to work with the DBMS. In the DBMS, it already have its own UI, that is user interface, for utilizing the resources or managing the resources of the database. So DBMS is the best one for the today's era. Next one, the difference between DBMS and file system. First one, sharing of data. No procedure is required. Basically, in the DBMS approach, there is no any procedure is required to work with the system to sharing of our data. But in the file system approach, user has actually, there is a mistake. User has to write procedure for managing the database. As I already discussed, for working with the file-based system, there is a need of programmer to program any set of procedure to work for any kind of job. That is one of the data sharing is feature also. Data abstraction. In the DBMS approach, it gives abstract view that hide the details. But in the file approach, it provides details of data representation and storage of data. That means whenever you are going to explore the data in the file system, all data are going to be present on the current view. So it is very much critical or very much complex to operate with this particular system. But whenever you are working with the DBMS, you are going to watch only that particular thing which is required right now. Next one is security and protection. DBMS gives us a very good security for the database, but in the file-based system, it is publicly available in the system, so anyone can access and modify the data. That means no privacy. So whenever you are working with the file-based approach system, then your data is not secure there, and there is also not privacy on the data. So whenever you are working with the file-based approach file system, then your data can be hacked by the someone. But whenever you are going through the DBMS approach, here every transaction is logged over the user. So whenever you are having the proper user ID and password, then you can access the data. And if you are accessing the data, then that particular accessing is going to be record keeping inside the system. That's why it is more protected system for the database. Next one is recovery and maintenance. Here, crash data can be recovered, protect user from system failure. These are the two basic points. Whenever you are working with the DBMS, your database can be recovered because of acid property, as I discussed in the previous slide, and protect it from outside user. That means another user or non-user of the database cannot access the data. That is the biggest merit of the DBMS system. Next, in file-based approach, it does not have crash recovery option, means permanent loss of failure file data. That means whenever your file-based system is going to be crash, as in our day-to-day life, every time whenever you are working with your computer in a very long time, then your system may crash because of many reasons. That is the hardware reason, software reasons, there are a number of reasons. So whenever your data is going to be crash in the DBMS system, then it can be recovered, but in the file system it cannot be possible to recover your data that is corrupted. Next is that is called cost. It is our one of the biggest point that we always have to carry in mind, that DBMS approach is very expensive. Actually, it is much expensive than file-based system, but it also have number of merits. So cost is not a point here, but whenever we are going to talk, then we have to discuss both points. So in the DBMS system, it is very expensive, but in the file-based system, it is cheaper. And as I discussed already, that DBMS is basically having a very nominal expense of your database system, because whenever you are having your infrastructure like your computer and the data storage, then you can start with the DBMS directly and file system also. But whenever you are having a large set of data into the computer for storing your data, then file system based and DBMS system based both are getting a very high range of data. So it is very much clear that whenever you are going to access that content, your content accessing is based on your system configuration, not for the DBMS and file-based system. यहाँ पे आपको दोनों में से कोई काम नहीं करेगा, ये आपके सिस्टम के कॉन्फ़िगरेशन पे डिपेंड करता है कि आपका सिस्टम कितना अच्छा बनाया गया है. नेक्स्ट वन इज just a second. Next one is that is data redundancy and inconsistency. As I already discussed, in the file-based system, there is a very much chances of having the redundancies of data. So whenever you are working with the file-based system, then you must have to keep in mind that your data may have a number of duplication or inconsistent in form. But whenever you are working with the DBMS, there is a very less chances of having redundant data or inconsistent data, because DBMS provides you data in your own view. So there is a very less chances of having data inconsistency. Next one, it provides in this system data independence exists, and it can be of two types, that is called logical data independence and physical data independence. That means both independence are there. Whenever you are going to store your original data into the computer system, then you are very much free to utilize the resources. There is a number of example of having the uh, language platform or the database system. That is, in the DBMS part, you will have Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server. These are the very much popular software for the DBMS approach. And in the file-based approach, we are having the COBOL, C, C++. These are the very much popular languages for operating with these uh, file system or these database system. Thank you. I will continue this video in the next part.